Oh, it's Wednesday. It's Wednesday. Do. I'm gonna give it a minute and let at least one or two people pop on first before I get started. We get at least one good live in this week. And TikTok is first in the building. TikTok's first in the building. Shouts out to TikTok. Good afternoon. Happy Wednesday. Make sure you tap the screen for the likes and drop a comment and say hello. You just walked into my house. You all in my room. Come say hi. How are you? How's it going? How are you doing? I hope that everyone is doing well. Alafia, Malia. Alafia. Hope that you are having a good day. So it's Wednesday, and oh snap! And I got one on the YouTube or Facebook side. I don't know which one. You'll have to leave a comment because I can't tell where you're at. So today I was having a conversation which inspired the thoughts around how ancestor veneration has been a healing modality when it came to me grieving or no longer full on grieving um, the loss of certain family members. So, if you are new here, you have never been here before. Hi, I'm Ianifa Daniafa Omi Shango. I am an Ifa priestess and spiritual awakening doula for the African American diaspora. I am currently unshameless plug, accepting new enrollees in my mentorship program from Self to Source with IFA. Spaces are limited and it is currently on sale for 50% off of the first month. So by all means, feel free to hop on and join in. It's a great journey and I would love to have you. So that being said, let's get back to the topic at hand. So ancestor veneration and healing. So I'm going to only slightly explain ancestor veneration and what it is. If someone would like more in-depth, explanation, by all means, drop the question in the comments. But ancestor veneration, ancestor, someone that has passed on, transitioned before you. Notice I did not indicate biology or anything of that nature. I simply said this person has left the physical realm before you did. That's what defines an ancestor. If you're not sure on that, you can actually look the definition of the word up. Veneration, give honor, respect, reverence. Notice I didn't mention worship because ancestor veneration is not worship. Worship and reverence aren't the same thing. So we give reverence and respect and gratitude to the ancestors. We're not worshiping them. Those words don't mean the same. They're not synonyms by a long shot. They don't mean the same thing. So ancestor veneration is together the honor and reverence of those that came before, those who have transitioned before we did. So I began my own personal, thank y'all for the likes. I began my own personal ancestor veneration probably, what is this, 2023? So it's probably been about 3 years now. So not this excessive long time. And it started quite simply, I was having an awakening, and my first mentor suggested that between self-love, that was the other place I began, was honoring my ancestors. I'm like, okay, this does not seem odd to me. It makes sense to me that I would give thanks and reverence to those who come before me. Okay, I don't have any questions about that. I had questions about, am I doing it right, things like that, but not about that. So for myself at the time, all of my grandparents had already transitioned. So I didn't have any living grandparents. Um, no great aunts and uncles, at least none that I had a relationship with. So other than like my parents who were not doing anything of that sort, I didn't have any elders for which to go to as an example of what does ancestor veneration look like. You go on social media sometimes you watch these videos and they've got these elaborate altars and things like that. And you're like, can I do this if I don't have this elaborate space? What if I don't have a space at all? But I started with what I started with, and being able to just sit, because I was like, well, what do I say? Do I need some prayers, or is there something I'm supposed to say? And then I just started to talk. One thing my first mentor told me to do, she's like, if you don't have pictures, because I didn't have any pictures at the time, she said, just write their names. So I wrote a letter. I wrote a letter to my ancestors leading up to the actual conscious veneration, because we unconsciously venerate all the time. But leading up to the fact that I was consciously venerating my ancestors, one of the things I did was I was building a family tree. And so, in building the family tree, I at least had some surnames, some last names that I could use to put in this letter. So that's what I did. So I took the last names that I had, found, whether it was through records and things like that, as I'm building the family tree. And I took the last names, and that's what I used to, write my letter to my ancestors. So it was very simply, Alafia Darcel, it's so nice to see you. Um, I took the names, just like peace, love, light, elevation to my honorable ancestors, known and unknown to me, on all sides, all sides of my existence, all planes of my existence. That's what I put. And then I just put all their last names. And so that's kind of what I started with. And then I just would sit and talk. So I would just sit there and it's like, well, hi. I introduced myself, hi, I'm Donia Morgan, daughter of, and I just take my parents' names, and I would just talk about my day, talk about the kids, me. I would just talk. I was building a relationship. I wasn't coming to them like, hey, I heard y'all with genies in a bottle and you give me stuff. That's not what I did. I just talked. I just gave them honor and reverence. If I noticed something, so for instance, my mother told me that her father was a carpenter by trade. So what did I do? One day I was putting up a bookshelf. And when I was putting the bookshelf up, I was like, hey, Grandpa, look what I can do. I'm handy just like you. Just little stuff to acknowledge and give honor to them. So as I continued, I realized I had some feelings around my father's parent. Well, both sides. So, but my father's parents initially, and then my mother's mother. Well, with my father's parents, there was grief around, I didn't spend a lot of time there. You'll listen to, especially in Black families, especially Black families in the South, you will hear them say things about, they're always at their grandparents' house and they were shucking peas and sitting on the porch with their grandparents. My grandparents lived in New York when I was little. By the time they got to where I am, I was like 16, 17 years old, hurt, wounded, and I just wanted to be outside with my friends, like real talk. I wasn't trying to be sitting with anybody. I wanted to go be outside with my friends. The irony is I like to hang out with old people, but I didn't have that, relationship already cultivated with them for that. And I was in a place of hurt, like I'm trying to like figure myself out. So I felt a way about that. My grandfather could speak fluent Hebrew, fluent, as if he was born speaking language, fluent Hebrew. He learned it later in his life. It wasn't even something he grew up with. And he was intelligent and he just had this wealth of knowledge. And I later, as I was in this journey, wishing I could have learned from him, sat there and learned from him and just spent more time with them. So there was some guilt I had around not spending that time with my grandparents while they were living. And then there was my mother's mother. There was this frustration because she passed away when I was in the fifth grade. I could not make her face come to me. I couldn't see it. I couldn't make her face come to me, and I could no longer remember her voice. So, in sitting and trying to imagine, visualize my ancestors sitting with me, I could not see her. I would be aware that she's there, but I could not see her the way I could call the voice of my grandmother and my grandfather calling my name. I told one of my goddaughters earlier that it was a very specific way. I can't even say my own name the way my grandparents said my name. They would call Dania and it would be so strong. And I'm like, oh, am I in trouble? Like, I'm not in trouble, am I? Okay. Like they're the cadence in which they would say my name so perfectly correct. It's unique and I can still hear it. Couldn't hear my grandma. So now when I think about them, it was a challenge and I was sad. I had a lot of frustration. I had not been to the resting place of either of my grandmothers. There was just a lot going on that I had to like kind of work through. So I ended up working through a lot of it, getting an ancestor reading shortly thereafter, where I got confirmation that they were proud of me, that they were proud that I had made this shift in my spiritual practice, because there was also a concern there. You grow up in an Abrahamic tradition and all of a sudden you shift and you're wondering, is my ancestors okay with this? And my ancestors are like, this is exactly what we want you to do. Please make this shift. Please shift away from that. This is where you're supposed to be going. So the ancestor that I think had the most profound healing relationship with me was my son. So for those who are new here, you have been on my lives before. My firstborn son transitioned the day he was born. So yes, it was not a miscarriage, it was a live birth, but he did not stay. So he transitioned the day he was born. And I was super conflicted about him and my now growing ancestral practice. I was super conflicted about what to do in that realm. And I went ahead and I just remember making the decision finally to include him and call him and honor him as an ancestor. And that was probably a turning point for me, because in my ancestor reading, what I learned is he's the center of my court. He is much like I was lived in some point on both sides of my family previously. He is a combination of both sides of my family. So he kind of stands front and center. And there's not a lot of people calling the ancestors, pouring libations for the ancestors. So it's a lot of ancestors that want to talk. And he helps to make sure the communication is clear. So it's like, okay, all righty then. So typically the where he fits is in the center. If I have both sides of the family represented, he sits in the center of both sides of my family. But being able to honor him, being able to, just talk to him, just sit and just the same thing that other people who don't do ancestral veneration do, and sit and say, grandma, I sit and do that with my son. My son's passing was obviously not hard. I mean, not easy. It was hard. And every year on his birthday was crushing. Every year on his birthday, I would feel absolutely crushed and devastated. And I couldn't work. I didn't want to talk to people. I would just grieve. And I say early on that moving out of grief, because you can miss someone and it not be the weight and the heaviness of grief. You can miss someone and not mourn them. Grief and mourning are not supposed to be lifelong feelings when your family members transition. Grief and mourning aren't supposed to be the only way you show that you love someone that has now transitioned to the ancestral realm. If you are still in a space where it feels heavy, it is like full on as fresh as the day they left, you are not healing. You haven't moved on. And what we don't think about is what we're doing to our ancestor when we don't move on and we stay in this place of grief and mourning. When we stay in this place of grief and mourning, we are holding them back. They can't completely let go because you haven't let go. I miss my son. I miss him. There are days I would love to visually, because I can tell sometimes he is, visually see him running and playing with his brothers. I would love to be able to see that. But I can't hold him here. That's not his calling. If it was his calling, he'd still be here. He's not. And so my ancestor veneration, for being able to, I will get the overwhelming urge sometimes to put candy up there. I think at one point I had a toy up there, like just doing little things. I have to give my ex-husband kudos because while we were together, if ever I got a card for a holiday that was supposed to be from my other children, his name was always included. All of my son's names were on every card I ever got. He always included them. I don't know which aspect of his spiritual court whispered in his ear to say this will be healing for her. He doesn't know that he's venerating our son as an ancestor by doing this, but he's venerating our son as an ancestor. He's acknowledging that his spirit is still existing and that should he be here in physical form, he would have signed the card too. So every year, Mother's Day, all three of my son's names. Every year, my birthday, all three of my son's names. So all of my son's names would always be on the card. And that's probably where it started. Having him now just flit in, just, flit in, pop in and out, pop in and out. Let me know he's present. Let me know he's sitting there. Let me know that he is, never too far away, has been helpful. So 2023, I realized on his birthday. So his birthday is actually in a month. Maybe that's why I'm feeling this way, because this is around the time things got a little sketch in my pregnancy. So I realized I wasn't broken. I was like up and about. I was in a good mood. I had cake because he gets cake on his birthday. So I had cake. I talked about him. I did a live about him. But I wasn't devastated. I was not devastated. And the same thing goes for my grandparents. My grandparents, I'm not devastated that they're gone. I'm not crushed. I miss them. I really do. I really do miss my grandparents. I miss them. I wish there were days I would love to just like sit and listen to them talk, listen to my grandparents like love on each other and call each other pet names. Oh my God, it would be so cute. Um, I would love to be able to do that. I would love for them to be able to meet in physical their grandchildren, their great grandchildren. I would love for them to be able to meet their great grandchildren and see them running amok. My youngest looks like my grandmother. The first when I was birthed him, and I just remember the first moment where I'm nursing him and I looked down and I saw my grandma's face. I just cried like a baby. Absolutely cried. He looks just like her, and I would love for my grandparents to meet them. I'm confident again, grandma, grandpa, and I know with a certain degree of certainty, they here, lingering about, meandering, hanging out by their ancestor altar, maybe hanging out in other parts of my house. Who knows? But I don't grieve them anymore. If I was to give advice to people who had someone transition, especially if it was an unexpected loss, like this person was just here and now they're gone. One is light them a candle. Just that simple. Just a white candle, light the candle for them. Keep it lit for 9 days. Just keep a nice, simple white candle lit for them. Talk about them. Say their names in a way that isn't always associated with pain. Talk about them, their memories. Talk about their memories. A lot of times, what you don't realize is ancestor veneration doesn't always look like an altar with food. That is a way to do it, but it's not the only way to honor and venerate your ancestors. When we were doing our ancestor veneration class, we talked about all the mundane ways, people honor and venerate ancestors. Ancestors are people that transition before you. Every piece of money we have has an ancestor on it. If someone was in a bad car accident on the side of the road, you have seen these shrines on the side of the road with flowers and crosses and things of that nature and balloons remembering the person. This ancestor veneration. When you are standing on stage and you're accepting some award or some accolade and you say, the names of people who meant something to you, you're honoring your ancestors. We even discussed the fact that in the Bible, and especially in the Old Testament, every Old Testament begins with a list of a lineage. They call the ancestors at the beginning of every every time they get ready to talk about somebody in the Bible, they talk about this person in relation to their lineage. They call the ancestors all throughout the Bible. The only difference between that and someone who practices an African spiritual practice is simply that it's accepted. That's the only difference. That's literally the only difference. An ancestor is someone who transitioned before. Every time you play Michael Jackson on Michael Jackson's birthday, play Whitney Houston on her birthday, play DMX on his birthday, you are honoring ancestors because they may not be your blood ancestors, but ancestor veneration is not about blood. It's about respect and honoring those that came before. So if you have a love for hi Chadwick, a love for say Chadwick for Black Panther, and on his birthday you watch Black Panther, dance, and you wanted to be the greatest dancer in the world, and you decided that you were just going to play Michael Jackson and dance to your heart's content. Ancestor veneration. It helps allowing you to share space with that energy in a way that keeps them not alive, but close. Not alive, but it does keep their memory alive. It keeps them close. It keeps their spirit close. Playing Prince on his birthday, ancestor veneration. And it helps. You don't Michael Jackson, especially Generation X. Generation X, when Michael Jackson transitioned, you couldn't tell any of us. He wasn't our uncle, our cousin, or some other member of our family that had transitioned. The level of grief that we felt as a collective when he transitioned was palpable. So for us playing Michael Jackson, that we are absolutely venerating his spirit. We are honoring his spirit as a beloved ancestor, that like beloved ancestor, because we loved him. We loved him. We respected him. He was such a huge part of all of our, Generation X, boomers, millennials, like Agbo Ato Rob. We loved him. And it helped. Like, I cried, like sobbing. Whitney Houston, uncontrolled sobbing, grief, devastation when they transitioned, just unspeakable grief. Being able to play their music and dance to it and sing to it, we still miss them. We're just not mourning them. You feel the difference? We're just not mourning them. And it should be the same way with your family. It should be the same way with the loved ones within your family. When your parents, your mom, your anyone, your cousin, someone transition, you should be able to get to a place of missing them without in full gut wrenching mourning them, because those two feelings aren't the same. There's two feelings. They will happen at the same time, but missing someone can exist without grief and mourning. Missing somebody can absolutely exist without being in a full blown state of grief and mourning. So understanding that and allowing yourself to move into that space of, oh, okay, I am no longer grieving. I'm no longer mourning. I still miss this person. I still miss these people, but I'm not grieving them and I'm not mourning them. I just simply miss them. I just simply miss them because is she sending her daughter to the door or is it her? Is it her? It's her daughter. Hold on a second. Hold on, y'all. Somebody's bringing me a donation for a reading. Hold on. When you do good deeds and good things happen. You do good deeds and good things happen. So being able to move through those things. So what does that look like? One, it looks like patience. I'm not going to tell you that you're going to throw your ancestor altar up tomorrow and all of a sudden it's going to be better. It's not. It's not. Won't tell you that lie. It's not. It's going to take time, patience, and time and patience. It's also going to take an openness and knowing that their transitioning doesn't mean they've gone into oblivion. For me, that was always like, what happens? Because like, what happens? And for me, my visual is a garden. That's my visual. I feel like it is partially different from other people, but it's a garden. And as a death doula, that's the way I frame the conversation, is that they're going to the ancestral garden. Like I feel overwhelmingly strong and calling it an ancestral garden. Like this beautiful place where ancestors of all, everyone is just chilling, just chilling. In my mind, they probably have like some little, thing they use to. Oh, sorry, iPad. Thing where they get the beeps and like a pager, like, oh, little Susie just left me some cakes on the altar. Let me go see what she's talking about. Like something like that, something like that. But it's just a garden, full of beautiful energy. It's peaceful. It's filled with love and corner of the garden. That's where the Most High lives. In the corner of the garden, the Most High lives there. So where mother in the physical was praying for you. Brad talks about that praying grandma. So that grandma was here praying for you, actively praying for your betterment, for your wellness, for your protection. Grandma was doing that in physical. It's the idea that she's now transitioned. She's still actively praying for you. She is still actively praying for you. She just, while she's here, she's wondering, did God hear my prayer? Did the Most High get the message? Did I give it to her clearly? Did I give it to her clearly? Did she hear the prayer that I prayed for my baby? Now, she just knocks on her door. She's transitioned, she's in the ancestral realm, and as an ancestor, she now has front door access to the Most High. And so she knocks on the door of the Most High and she sees the Most High, the creator of all existence, is also profoundly skilled at delegation. The Most High is profoundly skilled at delegation. This is why you have a spiritual court. The Most High is like, I could just do all this myself, obviously, or I could just embody various aspects of myself and have all this company and all these energies that are both me and not me, but are supporting me doing me to do it for me. So grandma goes to the Most High's door because grandma is also an aspect of the Most High that is operating as an extension of the Most High being delegated tasks. So grandma now hears you. Grandma hears you sitting in the room, sitting on your couch, driving in your car, talking about the things. If you are someone who has an ancestral practice, grandma also saw that you put her favorite candy on your altar. Grandma also saw that you changed her water. Grandma also saw that you keep it clean and dusted. And so she hears what's going on and she goes, hey, goddess, hi. You know me, I know you, we know each other. So my grandbaby, she done she done put some goods. She put the good candy out. She put the good candy out and she's looking for this job. And I know because I can see from a higher perspective that her Ori, that her higher self has been trying to get her to go this way. But she needs a little assistance and she's asking for a sign from me that this is the way that she could go. Can I please just blow a little sign her way so she knows this is the way? Sorry, Mandalorian references. This is the way for her to go. And of course, the goddess is just like, sure, go off. Do what you do. Do what you do. So instead of being down here in physical, wondering, saying prayers, hoping, grandma's now got like front door access. Grandma's got front door access, but that's not the purpose of ancestral veneration. It's the bonus. Ancestor veneration is all about the elevation of the ancestor. That's what it's for. It is the self-love practice that looks like you're practicing something else. Because ancestor veneration, don't get it twisted, that is self-love work. Ancestor veneration is self-love work because from a biological standpoint, you are your ancestors. From an energetic standpoint, we are not separate from anyone. So again, you are your ancestors. So by venerating these energies that are not separate from you, but are simply of you, it just looks like they're separate. You are, in fact, venerating yourself. Giving offerings, what that does is it tells your physical mind something's about to go down. When you give an offering, whether this is to your ancestor or any other part of your spiritual court, this aspect of your spiritual court is, in fact, you. It's not separate. You can experience this aspect of your spiritual court outside of yourself, but it is also within yourself. And so, as this aspect of your spiritual court is also an aspect of you, when you give those offerings, when you give your ebo, you are also giving that to yourself. What it does, it tells your physical mind something's going to happen. You have said a prayer, you've done an invocation, you've given gratitude, you have then given this offering, and then you've made your request. You've invoked a certain thing because we don't beg around here in these African spirituality streets. We invoke. We don't beg, we invoke. And we give gratitude by way of offerings and prayers and changes in our behavior to support that invocation. But don't get it twisted, we invoke. We don't beg. And so when we have invoked this particular energy that we feel most aligned to, that we can tell is in our spiritual bank account, and we're simply asking, can we go ahead and make that withdrawal? Our brain says, I'm about to get a blessing. I'm about to get a blessing. I don't put this offering up. I'm about to get a blessing. The blessing is coming. The blessing is en route. The blessing's en route. So then you are open. Your energy is now open to receive the blessing. You have opened the door. The energy is now open to receive the blessing because you know, I didn't like put in the right PIN number. I put the right PIN number onto my spiritual ATM, and it is now time for me to make a withdrawal. So now not only are you more open, but then you are open to divine guidance. You said, hey, I want to get this new job, and you're like stuck and you're trying to figure out what to do. You give this offering, and then all of a sudden you get this idea. I should probably get someone to look at my resume. So you do. They find a couple of things. They help you work it out. Okay, cool. Then you get this inspiration and you're like, maybe I should let my ancestors have my resume too. So you make a copy of it, leave on your ancestor altar. Why? Because you got a few ancestors that worked in the field that you're trying to get into. And so those ancestors know how to make moves in the energy of that field because they used to work there. You get this divine inspiration to get this new power suit to wear to this interview so that you can go into this interview and kill it. And kill it. You get this divine inspiration to put some honey on your tongue so that when you go to the interview, let those words is sweet, sweet like sugar, like music to the interviewer's ears. And then you get the job. And then you get the job. But you had to be in an energy of receptivity to the opportunity to come to you and not be attached to how it was going to show up. I don't know who needed that. Somebody needed that because that's not even what I was going to talk about. But hey, somebody needed it. I say. So, giving yourself the space in your ancestor veneration practice to just chill out with them. Like chill out, just chill with them. Don't it ain't gotta be this big pomp and circumstance. Just chill with them, play music with them, have dinner with them, and then eventually it'll just be like, I really miss you, Grandma, but you know what? I know that you're always with me. I really miss you, so and so, but I know that you're always with me. So I don't have to hold on so tightly to your energy that you can't be free to work and do and move in the way that you need to in the spiritual realm. My ancestor veneration practice saved me from living in a state of perpetual grief at the loss of my son. Because that's what I was in, a state of perpetual grief at his passing. I was just grieving and I was not moving beyond grieving. That's where I was at. I was like, I live here now. I live in the grief. That's where I was. Can I help you?
Can I use the pink iPad?
I'll be done in a minute. Thanks. I'll be done in a minute. So that is my shtick on ancestor veneration, helping and healing through grief. I was talking about this earlier, but I said what I would really love to do is do this support for parents who've lost children. Parents who've lost children. Because that's something I've lived through. So I understand wholeheartedly what that feels, navigate that grieving process, and how to do so through ancestor veneration in a way where you are both aware that they're an ancestor now, but also able to live in that knowing. I would love to, I really sincerely wish, I told my goddaughter, I wish that they had this in hospitals for parents. I wish that there was something, a resource available to these parents, because in those moments, you like a death doula, such as myself, to help you, like, what does that conversation look like? Like my son or my daughter, my whomever has transitioned, what does that need? What does it look like? What do I do? I was talking earlier and I said, when they came to me minutes after and asked me what I want to do. No parent is prepared, like in that, to have that conversation. There's no preparation to say, hey, I'm preparing to give birth to a child. I was supposed to have my baby shower the following month. I was supposed to have my baby shower for my firstborn son the month after. And now I'm like, he's not, like, no baby shower because there's no baby. And he comes to me and is like, hey, do you have some arrangements you want? How? He just left. How am I supposed to have arrangements? He literally just left. Help me make it make sense. He just left. I'm still reeling from the fact that he's gone and you're asking me what I want to do. I had no answers. Had absolutely no answers for them. None. And then it took me years to get over the fact that I had no answers. I had no answers. There needs to be someone there for these parents who can help them, one, advocate for leave me alone. Leave me alone. Don't you see me grieving? Don't ask me what I want to do right now. It's too soon. I'm going to need you to let me get a night through the hospital because as the mother, you still just went through a delivery. You still just went through a birth. Your body is still going to do things that happens after you give birth, like produce milk. There's some things, other things that have to be discussed. Having a death doula there to then also advocate for the friend, the person that transitioned, and be able to say, okay, this little life would like nothing more than for this to be whatever that needs to be to take place, and then being there for the parents, at least have for them to have some support for at least a week or so to help them not get lost in the grief, to help to point them to resources for grief counselors and therapy and things of that nature, but also like, hey, what can I do? Like, how do I honor my child? Like, that's one of those things that's on my, as my temple and things grow, that's on my list. When I can kind of like push some of my things that it's all on my plate, when less things are on my plate, being able to offer deaf doula services to parents who have just recently had a child to transition, who experience infant loss. Oh, hi, Crystal. Hello. I'm going to do better about being gone so long. I really am. I'm going to do better about being gone from live so long. I've made a note to myself this week. I said, this week I'm going to go live twice. Oh, excuse me. This week I'm going to go live twice. So you don't have to miss me too long. You don't have to miss me too long. And especially since I don't offer, thank you. Since I don't offer tarot readings on my website anymore, this will be the space where if I'm feeling like, hey, you want a reading? This will be where it happens. This will be where the magic happens. This will be where the magic happens. So it's the holidays. And maybe this is why I'm thinking that like it's holiday season. Like Hanukkah starts Friday night, I think. So it's a time of year where, that extra level of I miss so and so, I miss this person, I miss that person. Like those feelings are really profound this time of year. So things that I can say when you do your holiday festivities, that's a great time to do a feast for the ancestors. That's a great time to do the feast for the ancestors is during your holiday festivities. If you're comfortable with putting a table on like an extra place setting, do an extra place setting. If you're someone that has an ancestor altar, it's a good time to make the good plate. It's a good time to make the big plate. This is big plate time. So like for instance, like my son's birthday just passed and Hanukkah starts on Friday. So, this weekend we're going to do a little celebrating. We're going to do a little celebrating. um, yes. Playing the good music, doing the things, and making that extra plate. Put some of their favorite foods out. Like, normally I just give you what I'm eating, but you know what? Today it's the holidays. I'm going to go ahead and make that thing that I know that you like so much when you were here and make that. And you don't have to make this giant portion of it. I think that's the other part, is it that because I know sometimes people are concerned about like, well, I need you to understand. Number one, your ancestors are no longer in human form. That should go without saying, but I think that needs to be said. Your ancestors are no longer in human form. They don't need a human form. Yet there are going to be days like Sunday. My ancestors want a feast, so they're going to get a feast. They're going to get a big plate because that's what they want is a feast. But on a day to day, week to week basis, I share what I got. I share what I got. I did this, told this on live before. Like one day I was like, Ancestors, what you want? They wanted a tuna fish sandwich. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, shake. I'm like, let me shake these shells. Oh, you really do want a tuna fish? That's what you want? That's the offering you want? Is a tuna fish sandwich? Okay. That's the offering they wanted. We sometimes act like the ancestors, our angels, our rishas, our Wa, our whoever, our Interu, like they don't actually see everything that's going on. Like when you're walking in the grocery store, looking at the price tag on things, that they're not looking at the price tag with you. Like they don't know. Like groceries is expensive. I don't know. Why do you think they don't know that? Like who told you that? Like where's that idea? They don't know. Where's the notion that the Most High, the creator of all existence, is unaware of what your rent is? Like why would that be a belief that you would have? So I always say this: your spiritual court don't need your money. You know, you are simply exchanging energy to say thank you. And you know what? The little things do mean so much because they're not little. See, little is a human idea. Because in the grand scheme of things, you could give this planet. What's the planet in comparison to the universe? Little. So stop qualifying whether your offering was big or little. Was it effective? Was it aligned? Did it come from your heart? Did you give what you could? That's what it is. That right there. That's what it is. Some things are more specific. So, for instance, let's say you're trying to generate, you want to manifest a book. You're like, I want to write a book and I really want it to be successful. But guess what? You haven't done? You haven't created a title page. You haven't put a piece of word on the paper. So, guess what? Your offering is I'm going to create the title page. I'm going to create the book cover for my book to show you I'm actually really ready to publish my goddamn book. That. The other day, this was last week sometime, and I have been getting this messages about things that I needed to change in the business, da da da. And what I was doing was trying to wait until I updated my website. So if you've been on my website before, you go to it now. My homepage has had a facelift. I'm dorking around with the look. And this particular morning, I'm asking, well, yeah, would you like some this? Nope. Some that? Nope. So I sat there for a minute and I was like, you want me to do something? Yep. What you want me to do? And I sat there for a minute. I said, this has to do with the tarot cards, isn't it? Yep. You want me to announce that I'm no longer offering tarot readings? Yep. All right. So I said, even if, because I was working on my website, if I'm not done updating my website by 5 o'clock, it don't matter. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just make the post. FYI, this aspect of my business is gone. Why was that important? One is because I am Ian Nifa Dania Faomi Shango full time. That is what I do. That is not my side hustle. It's not my side gig. This is what I do. I live and work as an Ianifa. And it was time for me to live and work as an Ianifa. Tarot is what showed me I could divine. Because don't get it twisted. It doesn't matter the tool. I divine, period. I don't do readings. I divine. I don't do readings. I don't just like this. No, it's never cut and dry. It's never simple. No matter how hard I try to give a simple, basic reading, I am completely unable to do so. I am not a reader. I am a diviner. And as long as I continue to offer tarot, people will treat me like a reader, and I am a diviner. Mm, period. I divine. And the tool isn't what makes me a diviner. I am a diviner. Period. So I had to let that tarot still be a thing. I'll still do tarot readings live. I'm gonna throw at least one or two specials out there for some quickie cash at me, and I'll inbox a recording of a reading stuff. I'm still gonna do stuff like that because it's still a skill, an ancestrally inherited skill that I honor and give reverence to. I still pull at least one inspired action card a day. It's still a thing. But when I think of here's some astrology, my point, my midheaven, my legacy point, like what I'm going to be known for, it's not tarot. It's not tarot. It's what I do philosophically. Um, sure. So I would say a reading is surface level, like it's right on the surface, and it doesn't offer any medicine. It's like, oh, look, you're supposed to like. I see that you are stressing about work, and the advice is to look for a new job. That's probably still even an oversimplification, but that's that. Divination is okay, so you're stressing about work. Why? Well, the reason you're stressing about work is because you are currently in a Uranus opposition happening in your sixth house, which is your day to day life. And because of this opposition, there's asking for it to be what you do for work. Looking at what you do for work, it's not in alignment. Your birth chart says that you need this kind of work environment, but you're working in this kind of work environment. What also is the case that you're currently in um, uh, 5 year, and 5 is the number of change. So you're in a 5 year, so you're in the energy of change. So because you're in a 5 year, changes are going to be coming to you. Thank you for the roses. You're being asked to make changes in your life, and you're still trying to stay still, and spirit is like, no, I need you to make change. So now you're uncomfortable because you're not moving with the flow of the energy. So the medicine here is to first determine what changes is it that's just being asked of you when it comes to work. Can you see the difference? One is very surface level. Divination is like, I'm going to get all in your business. I'm in the nooks and the crannies. Not only am I going to give you the inspired action to take, but also what is the medicine? What is both the practical things that you should be doing with your character, how you should be moving, changingly your behaviors, whatever the case may be, that needs to have happened. From an EFI perspective, are there any taboos that you need to be observing for a certain period of time to ensure that your medicine is coming through effectively? And then also, are there aspects of your spiritual court that are also trying to help you get this done, but they're asking for a little bit of like, energy exchange. Like, you don't talk to us, you don't see us, but guess what? We're still trying to do? We're still trying to help you reach for the top. So the least you could do is pour us some water. The least you can do is pour us some water. Can we get some water? Can we get a little gin, a little rum, can you put some flowers out? Like, can you do something, anything that, and exactly, Crystal, the tools are the tools. How the wielder of the tool uses them is the thing. I have never ever been able to effectively, you know how hard it is for me to do a base. I can't do it. It don't feel good to me. It doesn't feel good to me. When I someone asked was stressing about Mercury retrograde. She's stressed about Mercury retrograde. I'm like, well, I said, are you comfortable with me looking at your birth chart? She's like, I don't really understand that anyway. So yeah, I'm comfortable. Gives me her birthday information. I pull her birth chart. And in the course of looking at it, I notice she's got grandchildren coming. Don't ask me how I knew. I'm claircognizant and I'm clairvoyant. And I'm like, they're like, I see grandbabies. And she's like, you're crazy. Neither of my kids wants any more children. I understand what you're saying, But this here says you got grandbabies coming because I got a little precognition under my belt too. By the time the next by the time the next Mercury retrograde came around, she messaged me. She said, "Do you remember telling me that one of my sons was going to have a grandbaby?" And I was like, "Mm-hmm." I only remember, like, typically if I'm channeling something, I don't always remember, but that was such a weird thing that came up. Like, I wasn't even sure why I understood grandchild from what I saw. I just knew I saw grandchild. I didn't see children, I saw grandbaby. She said, they just told me they've been trying to have another grandbaby and they're pregnant. All right. Okay, then. Okay. Alrighty then. That was just supposed to be a basic tell her what house Mercury retrograde is in, so she knew which area of life was going to be affected. I didn't do that. I done looked at, so this is where Mercury retrograde is happening, ruled houses. So these other areas are going to be full, and then Mercury retrograde is happening in Earth signs. So this is what's going to be happening in your Earth sign. Like, this is, I'm reading her birth chart. She didn't ask for that. She asked for the basic thing. I don't know how to do that. I am an Aquarius. I don't know how to do that. I am an Aquarius stellium. I sincerely do not know how to do that. I don't know. I don't have that. That's a particular set of skills I simply do not have. So with that coupled with spirit is really like Ifa is what you do. Ifa is what you do. And it's the truth. Like, honestly, I had not been booked for a tarot reading through my website in ages. I can't remember the last time someone went to my website and booked a tarot reading. Just wasn't happening. In fact, the only time I was consistently doing tarot readings, which is probably the only way I'll do them now outside of live, is going to the apothecary. I go to the apothecary, they put it out that I'm coming up. My day is full. Every slot available that day is full. I will do tarot readings all day long. And even the last time I went there, I offered both. And I had more E5 divination than I had tarot readings. So tarot was what got me comfortable. I had to be comfortable as a diviner. I had to be comfortable in my ability to understand spirit and pull the messages down. I had to be comfortable in that. I had to be comfortable in seeing the synchronicities and understand the story as they were being thanks, Crystal. The story as it was unfolding. I had to get comfortable in that. I had to be comfortable in that I have this um um this skill. I had to be comfortable in the skill. I don't know what IGA is. EFI, no, EFI doesn't do tarot. EFI has some other divinatory tools, but not tarot cards. Now, let me qualify this. There are some Orisha deck and EFI inspired decks, and they are effective. They're not an EFI reading, but they will still give you some medicine. They really will. I do use cowrie shell divination. Yes, was I actually just put it on my website that I now offer cowrie shell divination. I just added it because I was only using cowrie shell divination for myself. But yes, I do offer cowrie shell divination. Yep, it's on my site. It's currently 40% off. Actually, all my divination is right now. All divination is 40% off right now. Indeed. Oh, you want to hear a funny story about that? So the oracles and the prophets and things like that were commonly known. I think the name is actually Greek, but they were known as sibyls. Um, and the African women oracles, a lot of them who were associated with Mami Wata, they were called sibyls. They were the oracles, the prophets. I personally am both a medium and an oracle. Not every medium is an oracle, but every oracle is also a medium. I am both a medium and an oracle. My mother, her name is Sybil. and her name was technically changed to Sybil. It was technically changed. That was not the name her parents were going to give her at birth. A nurse showed up out of the blue, told her parents her name was supposed to be Sybil. So that's my mama's name. And I happened to like look it up one day and I'm like, Mommy, do you know that your name means prophetess? She's like, Yeah, I know. And I'm like, All right then. Left it at that. Just left it. Sure. Medium. A medium is someone who is able to channel specific energy, typically an ancestor. They are able to tap into the individual. That's the key part there. Individual. An oracle can channel source. Like, like I don't always have to go through someone else. I can just channel source, like channel source. Like that's it. And I will tell you that, or the collective body. So like the ancestors operate as a collective body and individually. So I can channel the collective body of the ancestors. What did you hear? I could channel the collective body. I could, but not necessarily. And I don't. And like real talk. It is actually rare for me to be. I have to purposely be a medium because I'm almost always simply an oracle. If I'm holding energy, like if I'm doing like E5 divination, they're all there, all of them. Everybody's there. It's everyone. I'm not channeling one. It's everyone. It's everybody. Every once in a while, it'll be evident that someone, um, um, Skittles. Do I need to give them? Can you like can you find out? Do I need to give them? I just did Jolly Ranchers. Do I need to give Skittles too? Do I need to give Skittles, or can you do it? I just need to know if I need to like order some Skittles. You're welcome. Like Leah, let me know if I need to give Skittles or if you need to go get Skittles. Like just tell me. Just tell me. I just did uh Ashe. Um this is what I will say when it comes to Ifa or any African traditional spiritual science. Books, videos, all of these things are useful. I will never tell you these things are not useful because that's where I began. That would be stupid. Like that'd be crazy for me to say, don't watch videos. Why? Like I that's where I started. I started with videos. I started with books. Um, Even though I do not practice Lukumi, the Lukumi content creators, they absolutely are where I began. They absolutely where I began. Finding Soul on the Path to Orisha, I have that audiobook and I think I've listened to it 4 times. And even though she tells it from a Lukumi Santeria perspective, I love the way she speaks about ancestral veneration. I love the way she talks about how her resonance with the Orisha. I love that. I love it. There's medicine in that book that would benefit anyone in the tradition. Um, Findings, hold on, because there's 2 of them and they look alike. There's 2 books and the covers look super identical, but it's not the same book. Um, uh, let's see. Let me go into Audible. Oh, I probably should use some of my credits. Tobe Melora Coriel. Tobe is Tobe. Melora Melora. Coriel Correal. That is actually, I think, the first E5 book I ever got. I think that's the first one that I ever got. And it was just like, it's not Isheshe, but there was just so much medicine in it. She talked about, like we were talking about ancestral veneration, and you're welcome in it. And she talked about tending to the soil of her personal ancestral garden, that there were rocks and stones and gravel, and it was not lush. And the work that she had to do in order to get her ancestral garden to be more like an actual garden, to be lush and full of flowers and greenery. She was talking about elevation work. She was talking about healing rifts in the lineage so that she could, as a Black woman, call on her non African descended ancestors comfortably and ask for support, especially with the ones she knew in her life who treated her poorly. So I just really love, I really, really love that book. Um, but once you get through to the books and you're like, are really, because the books are going to make you thirsty. It's like, okay, I'm getting a little bit. I'm like, it's like, this is good, but I need to go to the well. I need more. I need more. And so you're at some point, if you are taking it seriously, you don't just want to be a bystander. You want to be finding soul on the path to Orisha. Um, so if you don't want to be a bystander of the tradition, you're like, I kind of want to be more in it. I want to be more in it. You have to get an elder. Like you can't get you're just not going to get away from being able to partner with somebody in the tradition that has been doing it for at least a little bit, that can help guide, support, and nurture you on the journey. When it comes to finding an elder, because I know you're gonna like, how do you choose an elder? So let me just go ahead and answer it right now. First and foremost, go find content creators that are elders. If you don't have any in your town, find content creators that are elders and watch how they teach. Watch how they speak about Ifa. Watch how they speak about Orisha. Watch how they speak about Odu. Watch how they speak about other things, not non-Ifa specific things. Learn as much as you can from a surface level, because it's on here, it's always going to be surface level of who they are as a person. Because can you connect with them as a person? And I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna wrap it up because I'm expecting a call. I'm expecting a yay. Okay, I'm wrapping up. Um, I'm closing out. Okay. And learning. Yes. How does that energy feel? My godmother. Um, thank you. I take that as a huge compliment. Thanks. My godmother, somebody pointed me to her radio show. I was not looking for an elder at the time, but let me just say this. I wasn't in active search. I was allowing spirit to guide me. And I love that. I take it as a compliment. I think she's gorgeous. I think she's absolutely beautiful. So I take it as a compliment. And I listened to my elder on her radio show, and I was enamored in the most platonic way possible. I was completely enamored by her. I thought she was beautiful. I thought she was articulate. I thought she was funny as fudge. Like I laughed. I love the way she taught. I love the way she spoke. Some of her life stories actually sounded like mine. I absolutely loved her. And I had been saying to my ancestors who had been loud and clear in my own tarot cards, you need an elder. I'm like, well, send them my way. Baby, won't you come my way? I need need one. Because at that moment, I was not planning to initiate. I was cool on the sidelines as as a devotee. I was cool. Just call me. Call me in the car. Okay. Text when you are home or close. There we go. Text when you're close. So, um, yeah, Ashe. Like I loved her, and so the February 2021, my cousin, who had already been following her show and things like that, booked a reading and booked one. Um, Ask them to guide you to the right one. They will. If you're supposed to be in the tradition or even close to it or simply a devotee, but you need an elder, that's what I did. It's like just show them, make it clear, make it plain, so that I will know this is the person. So my cousin gave me a gift of a reading with the woman. And the first divination I had with her was so beautiful. Oh my God. It was just so beautiful. We had the best conversation. It felt like talking to an old friend. And it was so funny because I asked her a question about work. Because, much like I mentioned earlier, I could feel the squeeze at my job. And I asked her the question. And then before I could stop myself, I think it was channeling. And she said, I'm going to send you the recording. I want you to listen to you divining over yourself. And I was like, I. But the other part was she didn't recruit me to E5. She didn't say, oh my God, you got to come to E5 because blah, 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 blah. She simply said it's in alignment. She simply said, these energies are literally rooting for you. This is what would come if this is what you did. If you decided to go this way, these are the blessings trying to come your way. It is in alignment with your destiny, but it is still your choice. It is in alignment with your destiny, but it is still ultimately your choice. You get to choose how you move. And I'm like, okay. And she gave me something to do. She gave me some homework. And I did it. And before I was done with it, I knew. Before I reached out, I said, hey, um, okay. Um, I knew. I knew it was time. I knew it was absolutely time for me. I'll talk about that later. But she always encouraged me. She said, I'm going to teach you how to use these tools, and I need you to trust in your gift. I need you to trust yourself. And she forced it on me. There were things like, you're going to learn this prayer in Yoruba and sing it to me by heart. What? Bruh, why? Like, why would you do this? But I could. But I could. So that's what you need. You need someone whose teaching style, it's not enough to be knowledgeable. There are plenty of knowledgeable people in the world, but they are not all meant to be your teacher. You need someone whose teaching style will align with your learning style so that you can receive the information in a way where you're actually able to learn it, where you're actually able to learn the information. You need someone whose energy, like, Crystal said, their energy flows with yours and y'all's energy is so happy together. It's like, this feels amazing. This feels so good. I love being in this person's energy. When I got to her for initiation, I could feel her from my car. I'm in the car with the windows up, feeling her. Ashes, most of us in the diaspora are like that. Ashe, like we're all like our ancestors are all over the continent for shizzle. Um, so being able to be like, oh yeah, it's her. It's her. She's her. She it's her and she's her. But you got to do it that way. If once you are sure or you think you're sure about who this person is and that they might be a good elder for you, get divination with them, because that's going to be the thing. Like, real talk, the once the divination, the first time you get divination from this individual, will it whatever lingering questions, at least 65% of them should be gone from divination, because in that moment you have allowed this person to be intimately in your energy and you are in theirs. Like, you will always have that moment. Always. It'll just be like, ah, or it'll be like, oh, no, that ain't it. that they did. Like, no. And it doesn't mean that they're a bad person. It doesn't mean that they're a bad elder. They're just not yours. It simply means that they are not for you. You are not for them. It's mutual. It's mutual. You're not for them. They're not for you. And all of that is okay. All of that is okay. Um, being able to ask questions. How is this going to, how am I going to learn? How am I going to learn? Some of us aren't lucky enough to have elders that live close to them. Like, that's like mine was in Baltimore. My current one is also not close to me. So, what does that look like? Are we going to meet on Zoom? Do we have phone calls? What does that look like? What does that look like? I find that as much as I can, because ain't nobody perfect, as much as I can, I try to give what I want. Yeah, you definitely should go and find you an elder. You should definitely do that because you can have a gift and it's working you as opposed to you working your gift. I got at least one godchild in the live that can attest that I say that all the time. Your gift will work you instead of you working your gift. Like I'm good. I'm not always actively where it's overwhelming. Like actively reading people. Why? Because I got boundaries. Boop, boop. I'm not actively reading people. Not always. There will be things that slip through, and I'll be like, "Oops, my bad." But it's not one of those things like, "Hey, go tell so and so something." When it's not like, no. Um. Oh, they're probably trying to protect you. Might be your familiar. Ironically, there was a black cat in my yard today. So yeah, that's what I would suggest. Um, if you doing a reading drains your energy, you have to find what works for you. But I will tell you honestly, like that's not a humble brag. My energy's never drained when I do readings, like ever, and that includes if I've been fasting. I'll be hungry because I was fasting, but outside of like I want to eat, I'm never drained. So even reading for yourself, like even reading for yourself, like you shouldn't be drained. So things that I would suggest doing if you are perpetually getting downloads for other people. So here is your freebie. Feel free to send donations if this resonates with you. If you are perpetually been bombarded by messages from spirit and in this you are feeling drained, first and foremost, reinforce your boundaries. The first boundaries you want to reinforce are those with your spiritual court. Do you actually want that to be the way that you receive messages? Sometimes we don't realize we are the sovereign in our spiritual court. We are the captain of our ship. We are the most high in human form. And by extension, our spiritual court. So tell them, I understand that I am clairvoyant, claircognizant, clairsentient, clairaudient, clairtaction, precognitive. I understand. I am also not Captain Save-A-Ho. Everyone is not my charge. So unless there is a really profound reason for you to get the message, ask your spiritual court like not to allow others, guides, ancestors, etc., to infringe upon your energy. The other part is shielding. Like, yeah, they don't get to infringe either. No, lay full of godchildren, and unless I'm actively divining for them or something really strong comes up, I'm not actively reading them. There's a couple in here. I'm not actively reading for them. They more often hear each other than I do. Because I have said I'm not going to spend all day getting everybody else's messages. I'm not doing that unless I'm spending all day getting other people's messages. I'm not spending all day getting other people's messages. Does that make sense? Like I'm not doing that. I want to manage my energy. Well, I got little people in a life. I'm not doing that. I don't want to be the radio antenna for the world. My first my first mentor, my first elder was not an Ifa, but their purpose was to help me with my gift. That part. My first elder told helped me with my gift. So what they told me to do was white shield meditation. And for me, of course, I've got to tweak it and make it mine. So I did iridescent because I felt like iridescent was prettier. So I keep an iridescent shield around me to manage my energy. And then to help me focus, because meditation and visualization is not my strong suit, Janae Aiko trigger warning mantra on repeat. YouTube video, 6 minutes long. Yes. And listen, I would sing that with her and bubble. I'm singing, calm down, and singing and bubble. I'm singing and bubble. And then I started to have fun with it because I was like, if I can bubble myself, can I bubble my room? So then I'm like doing it, but the bubble is encompassing my whole room. So then I'm like, well, dude, if I can bubble my room, I can bubble my house. Like, that's not like, oh, dude, on dodgeball. If you can dodge a brick, you can dodge a ball. That's how I felt. If I can bubble a house, bubble myself, I can bubble my house. If I can bubble my house, I can bubble my yard. Um, Janae Aiko trigger protection mantra. There's several videos, but the one and since that's the kind of color scheme I'm bubbling around myself, yes, and yes. So then I'm like, okay, and here's where, because I like to layer things in, this is where shadow work started to come in. Because for me, shadow work is not about getting rid of your shadow, it's about illuminating your shadow. Your shadow and your light are supposed to be working in tandem with one another. So, what did I start doing? Because in my head, the way my mentor told me, they said, the light from that's cultivating the seed, that's fortifying the shield, is coming from source, and then it's coming through you. So what did I do? I would visualize two of me, one in white, one in black, standing in my front yard, hands outstretched, because I was a little kid that wanted to be a witch, and I needed this to be as cool as possible. So we're standing in the yard, holding hands with our opposite hands, the light from source coming through us, protecting my house, protecting myself, protecting my children, protecting my space. It is not simply my light doing it, it's me and my shadow. It's me and my shadow doing the work. That's how I started doing shadow work, is incorporating my shadow in my work so that it was always comfortable in the light, so that she was comfortable in the light. So I'm like, okay, yeah, come on. We're going to do this together. We're going to do it together. This is going to be awesome. This is going to be cool as a fan, man. This is going to be so cool. So that's my suggestion. Crystals like amethyst, raw amethyst most specifically, if you get a piece of raw amethyst with citrine to wear around your neck, that's the other thing I did, because I'm crazy. Like I'm clairsentient and an empath. Yeah, feeling other people's ish, and I'm a Cancer rising. So yeah, I had to make sure something to filter the muck. Taking regular spiritual baths, um, folks that are in, like, the Ifa tradition doing like Ori cleanses also. So even if you're not in the tradition, if you take a spiritual bath, it should include your head. I say that not to be sound funny, but and doing readings, that kyanite will keep you calm, amethyst will act as a filter. Like like if you tell the amethyst, I don't want anyone else's energy to get to me, it will keep it away because it's a harmonizing and balancing crystal. If you tell it, don't let nothing come here, it will keep it off you. Yes. And I doing like it was wild to me. I would talk to people and they said, well, I do spiritual baths. Do you wash your head? What? Like, do you wash your head? And they would be like, and I'm like, your crown chakra? Do you wash your head when you do your spiritual bath? And then it would be like ding, 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 ding. And I'm like, bruh, like you gotta wash your head. Even like talking to people with locks, it was so funny because someone said they cut off their locks because the energy was um they said there was too much energy in their hair. It was and I said, huh, you didn't spiritually wash it? And then everybody in the comments was like, what do you mean? And I'm like, okay. So when it's wash day, when it's actually time for me to wash my hair, I don't just wash it physically, just like my body. I spiritually wash my hair. So I would like wash my hair. So before I started doing like Ori cleanses, I would do the same thing I would do to my body. So I would do all salt water. I would do saltwater cleanse on my locks. I will take them and maybe throw some essential oils in there and wash it up real good. And even when washing it physically, I would thank the soap and the water for washing away negative energy. I just would add a little stank on it by putting something else. So get a little salt water, some little frankincense, rosemary oil, and dunk my hair in it. Just simply dunk, just cover my whole head in it. And then be like, okay, I got a little now I'm razzed up, and I would just do it regularly. Now that I can do an Ori cleanse, I do that regularly. Yay! Oh, I always got to do a little razzle dazzle, a little razzle dazzle. It's always yes, 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 and mo, yes, yes, and mo, yes. Good question. Good question. And you'll smell so good depending on what you put in it. Especially put for some reason that rosemary in there, like the smell of the rosemary just ratchets up. And I'm like, oh, this smells good. Ooh, 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 this smells real good. Real good. And I always feel like excessively clean. Like it's I don't know how any other way to describe the feeling. I just feel like extra clean. I like feel like squeaky. I feel like if you were like to take my like it would squeak. I feel like it would squeak after using it. That's just how clean it feels. And I know it's just the physical sensation of the way my energy feels. I feel like it's this clean. Florida water makes you feel squeaky clean. Like it just feels clean. And you can use it on the floor. You can like clean like stuff with it. Bear grease oil. Oh. It's a wash used in we use it in the Orisha tradition. So yeah, that's why you haven't heard of it. If you end up getting like some Ori cleanses and things like that, uh did you say you're a little weird? Everyone's a little like all the cool kids are weird. See, everybody thinks the other people no, the cool kids table is actually full of weirdos. All of them. Everyone's weird at the cool kids table. The cool kids table is full of weirdos. Who wants to oh, Ashe? Exactly. The cool kids are at the like the weirdos. We are the cool kids because I mean wants to be like everybody else. Nobody like are you really cool if you're just a carbon copy of somebody else? That's not cool. That's not cool. Being cool is I get to be who Leo energy is I am cool because I am myself. I lead the pack. Everyone's trying to get like me. Stunting is a habit. Get like me. It's an affirmation. It's an affirmation. Stunting is a habit. Get like me. Yes, like you know what? I'm not trying to. I can't like, and I try. I'm an Aquarius, and I tried to be like other people. It didn't work. I am an Aquarius, and I tried to be like other people, and it did not work. It did not work. It did not work. And now I'm just me. Now I'm just me. Now I'm just. All right. I am an Aquarius with um I'm an Aquarius with dominant Scorpio energy. So I'm Scorpio dominant. I'm Aquarius sun, Scorpio dominant. Scorpio is all up and through the energy field of my chart. It is the strongest zodiac sign in my chart. I am so weird. I am so weird. Eighth house stellium. So weird. I am Cancer tropical Vedic and rising sign. Sun, I am Capricorn Sun in Vedic and um, Aquarius Sun in tropical. And I'm a Pisces moon in Vedic and an Aries moon in tropical. Yes, I does the both. I does the both. Oh, I'm gonna tell y'all this, and then it's at an hour and a half, and I'm gonna go. But I have to tell you, since I got all my astrology folks in here, I'm gonna tell you this foolishness that I'm just like, oh, what are we doing? So you can cast a chart for your solar return. As of the last couple of years, I do this as part of my year ahead divination. I pull my solar return chart. Why? Because my birthday's at the beginning of the year. It makes sense for me to just go ahead and look at it because my birthday's at the beginning of the year. I'm a Gemini rising. This year, closing out, I've been an Aquarius rising. So there's been a big call for me this year to be myself. I was Aquarius rising, obviously still an Aquarius sun, and there was one other planet sitting in Aquarius. And I'm like, okay, so 2023 is all about me becoming myself. It's all about me living, walking, breathing as myself. I think it was an Aquarius moon too. So like, be yourself. That's what you're going to do is be yourself in 2023. Okay, cool. Got it. So 2024 is coming. 2024, I'm in a 2-year. So I'm moving from a 1 year. This has also been a 1 year for me. I'm moving into a 2-year. I'm a Gemini rising for 2024. As if my brain ain't busy enough. Let's talk about it. But as if my brain rising 2024, I'm going to have all the ideas, all the things, all the ideas are happening. What have you been related? Gemini rising, and then a collective 8-year. For me personally, it's a 2-year. Actually, oh God, wait. I go to astro.com. So I don't use an app. I don't actually trust many of the apps. I actually just go to astro.com. Hey, Alexis. Hold on. I said it's a 2-year. Pause. I am not going into a 2-year. I'm going into an 11-year. So I'm going to be a Gemini rising during an 11. Okay. All right. All right. So my folks who've been in my lives for a while are going to understand why I'm kind of bugged out in this moment. I'm going to be going into an 11-year as a Gemini rising, on the heels of me basically making it that the focus of my business is E5. If you were to look at my birth chart, so everyone, birth chart is the circle, you've got the hemispheres, this side and this side, this side and this side. All of my planets are up here. All of them. The only thing down here is my moon. Everything is up here. Everything just clustered up here. I have an 8th and 9th house stellium happening in my solar return chart. In terms of if you do a house chart, I have a 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th house stellium. What? First off, why am I outside? Like, why am I outside? The bottom half of the chart, when you're looking at your chart, that bottom half, that's your private self. Your top half, the top half is your public self. Why am I outside? Why am I outside in 2024? Is the weather nice? Why am I outside? I am outside. Apparently, I am outside in 2024. 2024, I'm apparently outside. Yeah. Yeah. And it's only just now, thanks, Crystal, that you reminded me that it's an 8-year, which means that for me, it is not simply a 2-year, it is an 11-year. My God. Bruh. 2024 is about to be popping. Like, it's just, yeah, like, yeah, look, just make sure you following me. Make sure you following me in 2024. Like, 2024 is about to be like ridiculous. Like, I turned 45 this year too. I'll be, bruh, I'll be 45 on my birthday. What I'm doing? Y'all inbox me ideas because I don't know. Be 45 on my birthday. What am I going to do? I want to have a little kid birthday party. I really do. I really want to have folks come over and bring me like toys, like Transformers and easy bake ovens and stuff. My little kid birthday party. A little kid party. All right. So now that I have realized that, oh man, you should, every grown person should have a little kid birthday party as a grown person. A few years ago, it might be 10 years now, 10 years ago. Oh, I know. It's funny. I'm gonna be a lot. Like, I'm outside. I'll be outside in the streets with the peoples. I'll be doing like, it's funny because we were having that conversation earlier. Like, you about to be on the road, and I'm like, I feel like that's right. I feel like that's accurate. Yes, being the purveyor of good vibrations. But everyone should have. I will leave you with this. The little kid party I had at Chuck E. Cheese, and it was a full-fledged grown people little kid party. We went to Chuck E. Cheese. I had cupcakes. I had treat bags. Someone went in the ticket blaster for me and won me some tickets. It was a full-blown little kid party, all the way to them coming to sing to me, to do the birthday dance in front of the peoples. It was a little kid party. Everybody should do one. This past year, my homeboys took me, because I had never been to Dave & Buster's, so they took me to Dave & Buster's to go play. That's what I did for my birthday this year, is they kidnapped me and they took me to Dave & Buster's to go play. That's what they took me to do. I am perpetually celebrating my inner child, because after the date of my birth, you will not hear me say I'm 45. I'm 9. I'm 9. So like right now, I'm 8 years old. I'm 8. That's how old I am. Looking at all the stuff there. If y'all could see my actual bedroom and all the stuffed animals in here, and my self-love altar is full of action figures, you would know. Being the little kid, I do that comfortably. I do that comfortably. I'm just a large child. I'm just on level 44. I'm going to level 45, but I'm not a grown-up. I am a large child, not a grown-up. Not like, I'm just wise beyond my years. And that's why my level says what it says. I'm just simply wise behind my years. I am. You don't give off 58. I'm just going to say, the fact that you said you were 58 is mind blowing to me, because your energy does not give off 58. That was wild. Didn't expect that coming. Of all the numbers you could have said, that wasn't it. That was not on my list. That was not on my list. 2024 is about to be popping. popping. And I mean, it's an 8 year for the collective. It should be popping for everyone. You feel younger. Like, I probably would have, like, just from feelings, I wouldn't have given you over 40 just from feelings. I just knew you were younger than me. I just knew you were younger than me. Knew it. Knew you were younger than me. But I was not like, no, you're not. You're not. You're most welcome. You're welcome. All right, my loves. Um, my friend, it is. Thank you. I'm leaving after that. That's the comment. That, like, I'm not letting any of the comments ruin that comment. I'm leaving that. That's the ending the live comment. She thought I was 26. That's the ending. Like, black and beige don't age. You don't let them know in the back. We don't age. We don't age. No, there's no cracks in this foundation. There's no cracks. No. What gives me, like, I get real close. It's like, oh snap, there's a lot of gray up there. Like, yeah, that like that'll give it away. Like, yeah, and I just be like, I just like that. I just like that. I want to be Storm when I grow up. All right, my loves, I'm going to let y'all go. I'm going to go scoot because someone should be calling me here shortly. So I'm gonna call and see, like, where are you at? Are you home yet? And thank y'all for popping in the live. Thank y'all for hanging out with me. Thank y'all for the likes. 10K, my gosh. Um, it's so good to see you too. It's so nice to be seen. It's really nice to be seen. So I will see y'all on another day. And if y'all are not on my mailing list on my website, it would be behoove you. Text me, but I got some things going on tonight. So if I actually, even